Arsenal nil, Manchester City nil, a stalemate at the Etihad. A better result for Arsenal than for Man City? I think so. Look, ultimately, into the final 5 minutes of that game, I said it on stream, it was one of those moments where, if you flip a coin in the air and you can't pick between head and tails, when it's spinning in the air, that's when you make the decision. That's when you figure out what you really want. And in that final 5 minutes, I would have taken a draw. I was happy to take a draw. I don't think it's a bad result for us. I do think it's certainly a worse result for Man City at home to come away with a result like that. And look, yes, we could have won the game if a couple of half chances had gone our way. But the same can be said for Man City. It could have gone either way. In reality, it was quite, for the neutral, I believe, a dull game. For those of us that are Arsenal fans, it was a very intense and stressful game. But I thought we played really well. I think we went there with a clear plan, and I think the plan worked. The plan is you go to the Etihad, right? Keep a clean sheet. Keep a clean sheet, and if it ends 0-0, you'll take it. And then try and nick a goal at the other end. And it wasn't complete park the bus. People are saying, Arsenal parked the bus. Arsenal parked the bus. We didn't. And if you listen to Bernardo Silva, he came out in his press conference just now and said, sometimes they pressed us high, but if we broke through that, they dropped back. And that's what we did. The reason that people say we parked the bus is because we surrendered a lot of possession. We gave City a lot of possession, but they didn't do anything with it. And we were very controlled and comfortable with the possession that we gave them the vast majority of the time. We completely locked down the central zone. Jorginho, Rice, Saliba, and Gabriel were absolutely fantastic. So they couldn't access the box centrally. They had to go wide. And when they went wide, a lot of the time, we were doubling up with White and Saka, with Kivior and Jesus, and we made it very difficult for them. Those chances fell to us eventually. I thought Jesus, the one at the back post, if he reads that better, a real striker's instinct, I think puts that away. A Victor Gyökeres, an Isaac, they put that away. And then there was the chance late on where Trossard, probably should have squared it to Martinelli. And who knows what could have been. But as it is, you take the draw and you move on. Yes, we're not top of the league. Yes, destiny is no longer in our hands. But look, if Liverpool go and win their remaining 9 games, then fair play to them. And this won't be the game that we look back at and we go, oh, God, if we'd won at the Etihad. Of course, we could say if we'd won at the Etihad, but you'd be far more sensible in saying, if we'd not lost away at Fulham, if we'd not lost at home to West Ham, if we'd not from 2-1 up against 10 men Fulham at home, thrown that away. Like, there are other results that I will look back at the end of the season if we fail to win the league by a point. That will be the ones that cost us. As it is, we're 2 points behind Liverpool, but really that's 1 point because of goal difference. And I really don't think that is too bad a position to be in. The individual league table between Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool, as in the 3 head-to-heads that we've had, Arsenal have picked up 8 points, 2 wins, 2 draws. Liverpool have picked up 3 points, a win, a draw and a loss. 3 draws, and City have picked up 3 points. Yeah, they've drawn against each other twice. They've drawn against us when we've gone to them, and they've lost when they've come to us. So that really is all you can do in a 3-horse title race, to go unbeaten against the other 2, beat both of them when you're at home. You cannot ask for more than that. You really can't. And look, the performances across the board today I thought were really good. And yes, you can say maybe a bit of magic. A bit of magic from Ødegaard or Saka, who I think is still injured, or Jesus or Havertz. Maybe that wins it. But, the onus was on Man City, in my opinion. Man City were at home. Man City are 3rd in the title race. They haven't won a game at all against any of the top 5 so far this season. The onus was on them to try and win it. And realistically, they didn't massively commit to trying to win it. Yeah, we gave them a lot of the possession, but they weren't throwing people forwards to try and get the win. And in the end, I think they were relatively comfortable to take the draw as well, which I think goes to show just how far we've come. That shows just how far we've come, that Man City were willing to take a draw against us. And so, look, I'm happy. I sit here now. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. We'll look at the stats, obviously 0-0. Player performances, for me, I mean, it's weird, right? This is where, when you talk about these sorts of player ratings and you use these to judge players, I don't really get it, because Gabriel was absolutely sensational. He's got a 6.5. He's got a 6.5. He was phenomenal. He absolutely bullied Erling Haaland. And the way we did it was very smart. we basically doubled up on Haaland because we could afford to. And you'd have Gabriel would go incredibly tight and Saliba would drop off. And so, on the odd occasion that Gabriel didn't win the ball, Saliba would sweep it up. But overall, Gabriel just bullied Haaland. He really did. And that is, another game that we've completely kept Haaland silent. And it makes you think like, oh my God, imagine last season we had Saliba instead of Holding. It could have been such a different story. And people were going into today talking about, oh, yeah, but you got battered at the Etihad last year. You're going to get battered again today. Like, Saliba's just different. Saliba is different. And he was phenomenal today as well. I thought Ben White was brilliant down that right-hand side. A lot of the, or of the few attacks that we did have, Ben White was a significant part of that. And then defensively, I thought he locked up Phil Foden. Saka, as much as he wasn't great going forwards today, Bukayo Saka, he did his defensive work as best he could. According to Arteta, he has been struggling just with fatigue. He's been struggling with a slight injury, but he got substituted today with fatigue. Kivior, I know people think Kivior didn't have a great game because he didn't look brilliant against Bernardo Silva, I don't think. It's very difficult. If you put Gabriel at left back against Bernardo Silva, he wouldn't have looked great either. Bernardo Silva is an incredibly technically gifted player. He's incredibly tricky. For a centre-back to try and deal with that is very difficult. And again, Jesus really did the defensive work alongside him and massively helped him out. And then I thought Rice and Jorginho in the middle were really solid. Like I said, there was no central access. Rice was all over the place. Jorginho was controlled and measured. And then Havertz was kind of the outlet for us. Didn't get massively involved in any attacks, but everything that we did have kind of had to either go through him or was facilitated by him. He was the outlet. He was picking up space. He was a bit of a sort of rebound board. And he did what he had to do. Obviously, as a centre forward, he didn't get much service because of the way that we played. But all in, I thought he had a good game. And then David Raya, his distribution wasn't his best today. A couple of times he slipped. But overall, a clean sheet at the Etihad. I thought he was dominant coming for the high balls. It was quick off his line when he needed to be. So, yeah, it was a good all-round performance from him. And that was it. That was it for the team. And then, for City, obviously, they controlled a lot of the ball, so their player ratings are higher because they passed the ball a lot more. And again, that's where I don't think these ratings are necessarily that relevant. Rodri was man of the match. And that was it, really. I did think Foden was pretty poor. I thought Haaland was poor. I was surprised that they actually took Foden off, though. De Bruyne, I'd have taken Foden off. I'd have taken De Bruyne off, moved Foden central when I made that sub, but they didn't. And that was it. In terms of those stats, I mean, it really was quite a boring game. Like I said, we surrendered a lot of the possession. They had less than 1 XG. We had 0.68 XG. They ended up with 8 shots, but a lot of them ended up being really low XG shots. 1 on target. We had 2 shots on target. And that was it. In terms of the table, look where it leaves us. Could you complain about that? Realistically, at the turn of the year, would you have complained about being second, 2 points behind Liverpool after we'd played Liverpool and City again? Because from where we were, I certainly would not have complained about that one bit. We've got the goal difference in our back pocket. That could be big for us. Effectively, that means that this is 1 point. And so, given that you can only drop a minimum of 2 points at a time if you draw, 1 Liverpool draw, and that puts us back into the lead if we win our games. And that is why, for me, it's significant to get that draw because it keeps us ahead of City. City now are relying on both us and Liverpool to drop those points. And even, by the way, if Liverpool lose, because Liverpool have a better goal difference than City, if Liverpool lose a game, City still don't catch them. So 100% the onus was on City to win this game, more than it was us. And I still think we went there with a plan of winning the game. We just know we knew we had to approach that sensibly. Saliba came out after the game. He said, we're never satisfied when we don't win, but we just know that we can't lose. And that is very sensible. So look, it's going to be huge going into the next few matches for us. They're all must-wins. They are all must-wins. We've got... what do we have next? We've got Luton midweek, 6:30 kickoff on Wednesday, followed by Brighton away at the weekend. That'll be tricky. Brighton weren't bad against Liverpool today. And then obviously the big one against Bayern Munich the following week. And then home to Villa. I mean, it doesn't get easier, realistically. Brighton away. Luton really is the last chance for us to rest any players. I'd imagine Bukayo Saka gets rested midweek against Luton because then it's Brighton away, Bayern at home, Villa at home, Bayern away, Wolves away, Chelsea at home. That's a tough run. It is a tough run. But we've got it in us. We've got it in us to go and win these games. And I hope that we do. Liverpool today, I still think they looked vulnerable. You know, the final 5 minutes of normal time, Liverpool were 2-1 up. They conceded chances. Lallana could have scored. Welbeck could have scored. So everyone kind of has this idea that all of us City, Liverpool, we're just going to win every game from now until the end of the season. I don't think it's going to go like that. I think there will be hiccups along the way. And it's just very, very, very exciting. Look, thank you for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Drop a like on the video as well. And I'll be back tomorrow live, 6:30, as normal, for our daily live shows. We'll be talking about this game. We'll be talking about what we've got next. Obviously, we've got a quick turnaround for that Luton game. Some more transfer rumours, gossip as well. But until then, have a fantastic evening, and I will catch you